Else is here.
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to bring you Setna Speaks with Setna of Khemet. Greetings and welcome, Setna. How are you?
I'm most welcome, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm happy that many good things are manifesting in your life, and I'd love to hear all about them.
Well, let's put it this way. Um, on Imbolc, which is February 1st, I did a humongous ritual. It also honors Osiris and the four sons of Horus and Isis. So during the ritual, I said to the universe, I need more recognition, more ability, availability. I need to be able to market myself much more. Within several hours, Edward Sott, who is the owner in chief, the editor in chief of today's Witch magazine, asked me if I wanted a half-page ad for my services in my temple. And of course, I said yes.
Of course.
One, two, I am a full-time writer for today's Witch magazine.
Congratulations.
I've already written five articles. They're a monthly or magazine, so I've already written 4 months for them already. March will be out when March comes out. I'm already ready for that, and I'm writing now. April. I'm ahead of myself. The other thing that's happening too is he's going to publish three of my books. One of them is the Grimoire, the book of Setna Khemet,
I'm
which is
glad that I found the
Egyptian.
It's a great thing and how important it is to you to share that. So I'm really, really happy that found a publisher who's willing to promote it.
It's going to have all of my rituals, my spells, information about the gods and goddesses of Egypt, and all of the work that I've been doing for the last 52 years. I'm
Wow.
very excited. I'm very excited. I am.
Excited
And
for you.
so now you'll really get Setna to speak.
Yeah, I look forward to setting the speaking. So whether it's on this podcast, whether it's on another podcast, whether it's through a magazine, I'm glad that Sedna has a podium with which he can share his wisdom and his words.
On that note, we are working very carefully. Today, I wanted to talk about the Egyptian use of various gemstones, crystals, um, and their place in their rituals and ceremonies. How does that feel to you?
That sounds fantastic.
Okay. Well, I wanted to start with the basic, which would be quartz crystal, the clear crystal. In Egypt, made them into beads. They made them into necklaces, amulets, beautiful collars, etc., etc. They were used as they are used now in the temples to enhance clarity. And so that was important. Um, Coming down to the next one would be amethyst, the purple stone. They attribute that to the higher gods and goddesses, and it is for spirituality and connecting self to spirit. So that's important. We want to go also to alabaster. Alabaster is not a gemstone. It is a kind of a quartzite marble-like kind of a stone. It's really a form of marble. It's been used for purity because it's white, pure white. There are alabasters that are black and such like. They have many much in Mexico. They have onyx and alabaster that's black and white. In Egypt, it's mostly white. For repelling negativity, they use black tourmaline and also black basalt, which is a kind of a heavy stone. I believe it's a volcanic stone.
Mhm.
And it's quite prevalent in Egypt. So it was used, you'll see it in many statues, the basalt. It because it's black, and that's why a lot of priests, even to this day, wear black, is to take the negativity and push it away. And so that's done like in that fashion, in that form. I wear the Eye of Horus. I don't know if you can see it tonight. Yes, I think. Well, if I bend this a bit more, can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. This Eye of Horus has a cobra and a vulture. The cobra is named Urea. She is the protector of
Oh, wow.
I wondered why the damn thing was so powerful. A tanzanite would be powerful, but this little stone, I'm bringing up close, is about 75 times more powerful than any little tanzanite would be. And I was shocked. And I had a test. They did a scratch test to find out what it was, and the hardness proved to them that it's a sapphire. So I'm walking around with a 4 carat sapphire and a 43 carat sapphire, which is ridiculous. I didn't pay what I should have paid for that, but let's leave that at there. But the sapphire or a lapis or a tanzanite or a blue cobalt, as you know, bring about in Egypt health. And that's one of the other things the Eye of Horus does. It encourages health. I encourage everybody to wear them so that they are bringing health vibrations into themselves. In this day and age, with all the different things we have floating around, it's very important, I think, to have that happen. So we've got some stones. I hope everybody's copying these things down. We will, of course, be recording, and we are recording this, so you'll know these things. Um, a very important stone is jasper, which in Egypt usually is a mustard color. I should have brought them over. Not gonna stop and start again because I think that's foolish. But yellow jasper is for security and comfort. The Egyptians had a great feeling that for mustard colors as comforting. So that was mother. There's a beautiful statue. All that's left of the statue are the lips of the Queen T, of Akhenaten's mother, who was a very powerful 18th dynasty queen. But she was the epitome of what I would call mother. And so that statue is there. But all that's left is her lips. I don't know why, but the rest of the statue is crumbled into dust. But it shows her the way people felt about her. Smashing it also is the way other people felt about her because she was the mother of Akhenaten, who of course was very much in disfavor.
Although her form is destroyed, she still shows that she has the ability to speak and communicate with us. I think it's a powerful statement, and I'm sure the hands that destroyed the statue were guided to leave that part invaluable.
She had a beautiful mouth, and many of her other statues survive. But someone thought because that one was such a powerful image that they would disfigure it or destroy it, which as an artist, I was very, horrified when I found this out. But that stone, think about as warmth as Mother Earth and loving. Although in Egypt, Earth is Father, Geb, and you have Nuit, who is the sky, which is also the sapphire because it flashes with bright light. Um, but moving on, we want to go to a stone that I really love, which is cornelian, also used by the Greeks for amulets and charms as well, quite often. Cornelian is a reddish stone. It is, I'm going to say, decision making, um, kind of like Cornelius, I guess, like the great teacher. But it is a stone that makes you want to help you with decisions, with thought. So it's many little amulets of the god Thoth, of Ptah, who's another great teacher. Of his wives, Sekhmet and Sachet, are both done often in cornelian, because they're all to do with thought. and to make the right decisions. So it's an interesting thing. I'm going this way as slowly as I can so that people can understand. If we had questions, I would give them questions also. Um,
Will you be publishing a book on crystals? Because you know,
it's one of the things that will be in the book of Setna.
ah,
Yes,
okay, very
you
good.
just gave me another plug. Yes, that'll be in the book of Setna Come West. It's um, it's got like a secondary title, which is the Grimoire of a High Priest.
Very good title.
Well, I don't know. It's a subtitle. It'll be good. You know that the Egyptians valued very highly gold.
Yes,
Um,
many
Really
ancient
because
cultures and modern cultures too.
oh yeah,
Well,
well they didn't just want it for monetary value. It reflected the sunlight very brightly, and they felt that their gods and goddesses, as I've said many times on many shows, were um, gold. That their skin tones were actually metallic gold, which, as I always say, gives me leave to think about them as possibly being, as George Tsoukalos often says, ancient aliens. So I'm obsessed with him. I can't help it. I first thought he was nuts. Now I think he's very interesting.
he is very interesting. And in Greek mythology, how this plays out was during the reign of Kronos, which was supposed to be the time of the Golden Age. There were golden giants who, after the reign of the Titans fell to the reign of the Olympians, the golden giants stayed on as invisible helpers of humanity and in their evolution. So that's how we have the golden giants. We also have golden robot people. They were created by Hephaestus to help him in his forge on Lemnos and in other places. So we have that there too. So there are memories of golden-skinned superior celestials in mythologies of the Mediterranean.
Also in Egypt, rarely some goddesses. One of Isis's incarnations is the Enchantress, and in that way, she's a moon goddess and a goddess of the planets that surround Sirius, the star Sirius, and she's seen as silver and emerald. So those comes you'll see very little emerald in Egypt. It's not something they had. They did use jade. They did use a form of citrian um, and selenite. Sorry, um, but no, I do mean celadon. It's a lemon, kind of a green lemony color stone, which you'll find, and that was often put around the neck of statues of Isis. Her sister Nephthys was more dark. She's an interesting character, Hercules. I don't know if there's a Greek, um, what will I say, counterpart. Nephthys is the keeper of mysteries. She is secrets. She is the person that comes into the shadow. She's considered the shadow of Isis, but she's in a physical form, so not a shadow form. But she can go into places because she becomes a shadow. But her stone is again black, like a black slate or black cobalt, black onyx, things that are reflective that are black. So and I mean, they even use coal, literally, not KOHL, KOAL, coal, like you'd burn,
Mhm.
um, to represent her. She's a very mysterious goddess. Her fragrances tend to be with frankincense, but always added with something. In her case, it's iris. It's a very light fragrance, but they wanted to make her very mysterious. Her husband Set is also a very mysterious being. You have him as Typhon or Thanatos in Greece. Mhm.
Yes, and it might be Hecate, one of the versions of Hecate, because Hecate is considered by many to be an underground goddess and a Titaness as well. And she evolved into that type of image as time progressed. But I've experienced her in her maiden form, where she's dressed all in white. That's the form that she's assumed whenever she's interacted with me. So I have a totally different
First,
interpretation of her.
The first time I encountered Hecate, I encountered her in a darker version, in a purple and black robe. Her feet didn't touch the ground. I saw no white in the eyes, only black. Long black ringlets and a moon crown. She was a different version, an angry version, I would think. My teacher brought her to me that way. I had just done the play Medea with by Euripides, and I was in junior high school, ninth grade, and I was Jason. And I had the red and white cape, which was required of Jason. And Hecate asked when I was to be introduced to her, that I wear that cape to protect myself from negativity, which was an interesting thing. Um, and I encountered the goddess, literally encountered the goddess. It wasn't in a spirit form. She manifested, and I was petrified. It was the first time I'd ever seen a god or a goddess physically manifest.
I wrote about it in one of Tim Beckley's anthologies, my first meetings with Akati, and I didn't know who she was initially. There's a mountain near Mudros, which is the town in Limnos where my family lived. And whenever I would go there as a child or as an adult, I'd climb the mountain and sit at a shrine to Agia Marina. And there was always this woman dressed in white. And now there's nowhere for this woman to hide because these mountains are kind of barren by our standards. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of trees, oak trees, olive trees, but you could see everywhere. But she'd always be there when I was there, and she always seemed to know what I'd been doing, and we'd have these long conversations. And then she'd say goodbye, or I would say goodbye, and then I would realize that it happened again. So I'd look around, and again, she's nowhere in sight, and there's nowhere for her to go. So she couldn't hide inside the shrine or hide behind a tree because I would see her, and there was no time for her to go anywhere else. So until the point where someone said goodbye, the realization that this was an anomalous happening was not inside my brain, and then became inside my brain as soon as the goodbye was said. But she was always very pleasant. She always seemed to know what I was doing and what was happening in my life. She always seemed to tie everything together and have wise things that she uttered. So that's always been my experience where she's never manifested in her like prone aspect, I guess you would call it.
Well, after the aspect that I saw was with my then teacher, and he was dark, and I think he evoked that particular aspect in her. And we walked to a place called the Hecat's Woods, Hecate's Woods. And they use the English version, Hecate, which I don't really like. But he said it was Hecat's Woods. And we went, there was a clearing, and we sat down on a tree stump, and she spoke to me. He was gone. She was there. And I was petrified. I didn't know who this woman was. She was tall. She had very beautiful features. I would say she was a more beautiful version of Cher. She had that look, but big ringlets in her hair and very high cheekbones and a beautiful, her face was very, very beautiful. And I was comfortable that way with her. And she had a fragrance, I don't know what it was, but a flowery fragrance that came from her. And then we spoke for a while, and then she walked. She said, "I have to leave you. You keep going, and I will walk." And before I knew it, she was gone, and he was standing at the foot of the forest waiting for me. So that was it was about 2 hours, and I've never forgotten it. I was about 15 years old, and there she was. She was magnificent. I had not even met Isis yet. There was Hecate, and she told me that I had two mothers, that she was my overlady, overlook, and that Isis was my spiritual mother, and that there was no competition between them. That they both were there to help me to grow and to learn.
That sounds like a great experience, a great encounter. You're fortunate to have that. I count myself fortunate to have the encounter that I had because it stayed with me my entire life, and it again reinforced the belief that I'm being watched after by somebody who's capable of intervening or communicating at the very least, should the need arise.
As I've gotten older, I find that the deities are more apt to help me. and that are more around me. Since I left the north and I've come to Savannah, I find a much more, I want to say, aspect where it's more possible for the ritual magic to be easier to be and more forthcoming. I don't know. Some people claim there's a magical vortex here, like a wormhole where the deities come through much more easily. It's possible. But I'm very pleased to where I am. Sometimes I get crazy, but everybody's complaining about the weather, and I'm not going to. I mean, it was 47 degrees here today, and up north it was 27 or less. And I have no problem with this where I am. And by the middle of the day tomorrow, it'll be in the 70s.
You're
So
fortunate indeed. Here it's a lot colder.
I chose to be here. It called Savannah is a goddess herself, and she called to me. She said, "You must come here." And so I did. Here I am. And in a way, it's kind of parallel to where Egypt is, energy wise. And I felt the attunement between the two places. So I feel very blessed that way. Now, getting back to crystallines and stones and such, the Egyptians built most of their monuments of sandstone. It was easily available, but sandstone has in it many, many flecks of mica and other reflective pieces of crystalline and what have you. So everything that they had brought light to it. And so that was important. I do have nearby a piece of Tura limestone, which was taken from the quarry of the Great Pyramid. So that's interesting. And I guard that with my life. It's just a chunk. It wasn't on the pyramid, it was a rock that was, where it was quarried. But it's thousands of years since it's been chipped. People say they see carvings on it, and I don't think so. I think it was just a rock that, fell off a piece that they were sharpening to make into a block. But to me, it's sacred because it is from that area. It's from Giza, and that's important to me. They also use, of course, polished marble and polished limestone to make things shine. The pyramids were originally covered in a casing stone of high polished limestone, high polished marble, and also a capstone, which was made of gold, so that they had this huge reflective energy to them. They must have been almost blinding when the sun hit them during the summer and winter solstices. Um, so those energies are there. They also use a great deal of wood, different woods. Alabaster was from the stone. They also used mahogany and cypress and cedar, which they got from Lebanon. But Egypt had mostly palm trees. They say that before the pharaonic period, that there were more trees and plants and things other than just date and coconut palms and such. But there were little cypress trees and things. But they went to Lebanon and to Syria to get more of those plants. But they were sacred to them. I use the oil of cypress, the oil of cedar to honor Osiris. I use the Egyptian lotus to honor my goddess Isis. Those things are important. Those will all be in my books. I want to make sure that information doesn't disappear with me. I have no children. I will say I am now a great grand uncle, a great uncle.
Congratulations.
As of 3 weeks before, well, about a week or two after Thanksgiving, my son, my nephew's wife, Claire, gave birth to his name is Kason, and he's adorable. He's got black eyes and black hair like his mom, and he's a beautiful face. So I feel very close to him. He's in a way, my descendant because I don't have children. So I've kind of adopted him. I'm his godfather.
Awesome. I'm a godfather too. I'm also a father, and now I'm a grandfather. Uh,
God bless you.
so,
Congratulations.
so yes, that's one of the roles that I'm ecstatic that I was able to experience in this lifetime. There's nothing quite like it, and I love my grandchildren. I love my children too. And
Of course you do. I would imagine, of course. My nephew will not follow me in magical tradition. That's his whole religion is he's a fisherman. And his whole thing is the sea, the ocean. That's much in my mother's father's family, the Sloan side of my family. My grandfather owned a very famous fishing station in East Mauritius called the Silly Lily. My grandmother's name was Lily. And the silly part is because his partner's wife, Oscar, his wife's name was Sylvia. It's not because my grandmother was a kook, but she was. But um, Silly Lily was Sylvia and Lillian. But it's a very famous station. I had many, many wonderful days there as a child. So I can't complain about my childhood. I had a beautiful childhood. I came to Greenpoint in Brooklyn to see my father's family, which was dark and gloomy and kind of sad. And then I would go out into East Mauritius, which was bright and beautiful flowers and butterflies and fishing. I adore fishing. It's not only because it's relaxing, but I like to eat fish. And it was nice to have fresh caught flounder. And at 1 years old, I hooked a I think he said it was a half-pound flounder.
oh wow.
Grandfather said I was a natural fisherman. So
Well, you have the name Waterman. Who,
right, but this was Sloan. My father, whose last name was Waterman, couldn't stand fishing, which makes no sense at all. My English ancestors, if you yelled boat on the Thames, would pick you up in a black lacquer gondola and take you across the Mersey or across the Thames. That was why we got the name.
my grandfather on my mother's side, he used to fish in his retirement. His father was the mayor of the town, and he was a businessman. And then when he retired, he used to fish. So I used to go with him to this ruined dock where he had to climb on girders and to do the fishing. Or sometimes he'd fish in shallower water and wade out, taking off his socks and his shoes and rolling up his pants, and walking shallow water or fishing. So I got to do that as a kid with him, and he considered himself a fisherman.
Well, my grandfather owned close to 50 boats in the fishing station. And there was the Silly Lily, he had a great big, oversized Boston whaler with a cabin on it. And we would go out, and he had all kinds of radar things and depth finders and fish finders and such. So we always knew where they were. We would go all the way out to Riverhead or as far as Montauk. You go any further, you're going to be in France. You know that. So so we would go as far as we could go. I was very lucky. I had a very good childhood. I don't take it for granted. I knew that many other kids didn't have those special things in their lives. And I thank the universe that I had the grandparents and the parents that I did. I was very blessed. We weren't rich, but I had everything I could possibly want as a child, literally. And I thank the universe for that. And, when I went out on my own, I wasn't so successful for a while. I was like a baby deer. I fell, I didn't walk well energy wise. And then I got my footing. And magic also helped me, of course, and still does. And I discovered that I was a makeup artist. I went to school, um, learned my trade, learned about hair. I can do anything for anybody, and I have a license for it.
Very good.
But now, as a writer and as a psychic here, you know that I have Phone a Wizard, which is my
Hmm.
work. That will also be in Today's Witch. They will be advertising a big half-page ad for Phone a Wizard. So those services will be out over 7,000 stores. It's amazing to me. And my books too. All of that will be available to everyone on, um, I guess, Edward Sott's publishing house, which I think is also Today's Witch, which is
That
amazing.
is that is fantastic. I've had several things recently pulled together to within a very short period of time after I addressed the universe with a question. I got my answer within a day or so, and whatever I was asking about presented itself to me. So I didn't have to even inquire; it was just presented to me. So something's going on, and I'm glad that you're getting your manifestation. And they sound wonderful. I remember when you're still in New York, talking in New Jersey rather, talking about what you want and what you dreamed and so forth. It's very, very um, ennobling and happiness producing to see these things come into your life one by one. And you certainly deserve it. And you've amassed quite a lifetime full of lore that now you're creating a legacy with. So that's amazing.
Most importantly of all is that I'm able to give this to everyone else.
Right.
If someone needs my help, like my friend Michael Del Rusi and like Hercules, I can send energy where it needs to go. I'm known to use my green crystal to help people with prosperity. I am known for people to use who have health problems. You've even experienced this yourself. I
Yeah.
use my cobalt blue energies to send that energy right out. You call it azure blue, I call it cobalt blue. And the same token, it's the same color as that beautiful sapphire stone that will bring the energy about and help people help themselves become healthy. I don't believe that it's something that I'm doing. I believe I'm stimulating something in the person that helps them help themselves. My mother said, life is what you make it. And I've taken that as very much to my heart. Because if you sit there and go, oh, my dear, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Nothing will happen. You
Right.
must take action. And I'm living proof of it. I've taken
That's an important point when because people ask me how could I believe in like the law of attraction, things like that. I said because it helps you in several ways. It gets you excited about a particular course of action or a particular set of circumstances that you want. Then you start doing stuff, and then it helps you recognize opportunities as they arise. And opportunities are always arising. It's just that we tend to screen them out. So if you're open to things that'll bring you closer to your goal and you jump on them as they appear in your path, things tend to happen a lot faster. A lot of people don't give themselves permission to accept the bounty of the universe. And
it's
I,
quite true. They say no, I
yeah,
can't. And oh, if I could only. And I always say what they say on the Nike commercials, just do it. Don't don't sit there and fret. Don't, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Oh my goddess, what am I gonna do? Just do it. If you fail the first time, well, so what? Get up and do it over, get over it.
do it
Get
again.
through it. Yes.
I share with
Life
people my personal tale. Somebody once said, I used to go out to California, to Southern California, like San Diego, and I had friends there. So when we come over, we'd all like do something. I used to cook Greek food for everybody. They used to do other things. And once a time I did that, and somebody there asked me if I'd like to fly a plane. So initially I was going to say no. But then I thought I once created a list, and even though flying a plane is not high on the list, it was on the list. So I said, sure, it's on my list. So for an hour and a half, I got to fly a plane over San Diego, and he was a flight instructor. So yeah, I couldn't have done much damage because he could seize control of the plane from his side of the seat. But I got to do it. I never wanted to fly a plane after that, but I'm glad that I did it. And if I accepted the inner no that came up, I never would have experienced that. So now that I experienced it, I fulfilled that, and I no longer want to do it, but I did it. And that's how it is with all of these things. They'll pop up and something in you will say no, close it out, or ignore it. But if you train yourself to remain receptive to the bounty of the universe, you can say thank you and go ahead.
I was I'm petrified of heights. It's something that I had to conquer. I went up on top of the former late World Trade Center, and it was all fenced in there up top. But I was up what a mile high, literally, and I could look down, and I felt safe, but I was petrified. But I conquered that. I also went up into the Empire State Building, and I used to fly a lot in a plane. My broomstick doesn't work too well, but in a plane. And I don't like flying carpets because you can get fleas in there. But I prefer going up on a plane. I like a plane, and I won't mind. I don't mind that. I've been all over the world because I conquered the fear of flying. And that's another stone, if you wish. That's actually a black marble. If you carried that with you, I have a flat one that I carry with me. Um, and think, use it as a worry stone. I know the Greeks and the Egyptians always had worry stones with them, something they could put in their hand and rub. I use my sapphire because
Mhm.
I'm just in love with this stuff. It sounds really weird. I have a relationship with this stone. The energy between this, the energy between this stone and me are very strong. And when I have it with me, I feel much more powerful. So I know that there's something about this little creature, and I believe it's a creature. It's not just a rock. It has a life. It came to me because we would belong together, just as my cat. I know that Oliver and I were supposed to be together just as I'm with you. And as I'm talking to everyone tonight, I'm supposed to be doing this. This is my work. I'm a teacher. I'm a high priest. I work as a cleric. In other words, a religious leader, but I'm also a teacher. And that's important. And for a long time, all I could think about was my retail and my salon life. I was a slave to that. When I was able to break free, and it happened to God said, Michael, enough is enough. The business I worked for went out of business, and I was too old. They didn't want to hire me for anything. So they said, okay, what do I do now? And so I said, well, I always wanted to, dot, dot, dot. And that was to get Phono Wizard off the ground, to be a high priest and a teacher. And here we are, guys.
There we
I
go.
said, I always wanted to, and here I am. And I took what I would call, and what Icarus would have called, unfortunately for him, a leap of faith. Now, if he just had wings out of aluminum instead of wax, he wouldn't have fallen 400 or 500 feet. Well, he didn't know Leonardo da Vinci yet. You know, Leonardo da Vinci did fly on paper wings made, and they were some kind of a wood that he did. The Wright brothers actually studied what he did and modified it. And of course, we know what happened. They invented permanent positive flight.
And
There are schools of thought that some of the
yeah, some people say that other people invented it around the same time, and that seems to happen when inventions enter the world. More than one person brings it forth, and usually it's attributed to whoever gets it registered the fastest or accepted the fastest. But when it's time for something to enter our world, it enters our world.
it doesn't have any choice. The universe says, "This is it, kid. Do it." You know. And I saw, as a teacher, as a high priest, I saw my opportunity because I finally had the time to actually be myself, not just be Michael the artist or the makeup artist or the um, consultant that I was being used by everybody else in the world, and I was getting what from that? Mostly, I missed out on birthdays. I missed out on Christmases. I missed out on 100 things, including funerals, because I had to work. I had to work. I had to work. I had to work. And the universe said, no more. This is your life. Get off your keister. I'm Polish. Get off your keister and do it. Just believe that you can. And
Mhm.
I am and I do, and I'm proof that that's going to work. All right. Colonel Sanders was a year older than me, was 68 when he discovered his formula, and he was 90 something when he left the earth. But those, what is it, seven herbs and spices and whatever else he did made him an international success. And he felt good about himself. Before that, he was a line cook in a diner, and he wasn't happy.
And all he had was a chicken recipe, and he took that chicken recipe because he actually sat down and took inventory of his life and said, "What do I have going for me?" And that
Yeah,
was the thing he could think of. And yet, with that one thing he could think of, it wasn't even his chicken recipe. I believe it was his grandmother's.
it
Very
was no, it was another line chef, a black fellow that
okay.
created they sat down together in the kitchen, but the gentleman was making the chef was making this formula, and Colonel Sanders, whoever his real name is, said, "Why don't you add this, this, and this?" Cajun kind of things into there. Now, this is a guy that came from Texas who suddenly was a Kentucky colonel. The Kentucky Fried Chicken sounded more um, I guess, appetizing the advertisers just did that because the guy was in Mississippi, Colonel Sanders was in Texas, and they decided the chicken comes from Kentucky.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, here I am, an English, Austrian, Polish crazy guy who's well known for what? Being an ancient Egyptian. I'm known all over Egypt as the Egyptian. It's really kind of funny, but it's true. Archaeologists are recognizing me now too, as well as the Egyptian population. If you look on my Facebook page and you see how many people in my page are Egyptian in Egypt, you'd be surprised. And they acknowledge me as an Egyptian high priest.
That
And
is
I
so,
am. That is what I am. That's who I do.
and a lot of people would be discouraged by the fact that they're not Egyptian or they didn't go to a seminary or but again, you can be whatever you want to be or whatever is in your heart to be, and the world will recognize it long before many of the people who call themselves your friends or your family will recognize it.
I was anointed by the people at the Fellowship of Isis. I was anointed by temples, by priests and priestesses that are all over this country that are in secret. And I was made a high priest because of my education, because of my level of knowledge, um, and my acceptance and my reverence and devotion to the gods and goddesses of Egypt, the Niteru. That is why my temple is called Perniteru. Perniteru means the school of the gods and goddesses of Egypt. Niteru is the Niteru is the name of the
Oh,
Egyptian.
gods, yes.
You have a pantheon. I have a pantheon. It's just how we celebrate God and goddess, whatever you want to call it. Um, as of Star Wars, the Force. I call the gods and goddesses in the universe the All High. And that has a generic feeling to it. So everybody can be comfortable with it. You don't have to say, well, I was a Buddhist or a Jew or a Muslim or a Christian or I worship the rock up the block. You can feel comfortable with whatever you wish as long as you know that you yourself are not the creator of the highest power, that we're all part of it. And I acknowledge that. That's why you, as a Greek, and I, as a Kemetic and Egyptian, can work together because we are
Oh,
after the same goal, and that is universal knowledge, universal peace, and love and trust.
correct. I always tell people that part of my mission here from Mount Olympus is to nullify the curse of tongues, which is the story of the Tower of Babel, where humanity stopped understanding each other. And looking through the annals of religious history and all the violence and bloodshed that comes about, it's often, we're killing each other over different variations of stories that we all share. So I want to stop that, and I'm glad that I found you and other people like you who share that vision, and hopefully we can make a difference in the world by showing
All
that
we
it's
have to
possible.
do is, I think the most important thing is to acknowledge what my favorite Queen of Egypt said, that we're all one people, one nation on earth living in peace. Now, she was an ambitious politician, but that message struck home to me. One people, in other words, everybody on earth, which is where we are right now, living in peace, one nation, not necessarily one nation in the way that she had or Caesar had, which of course is a conquered world. But I mean, hand in hand, when I was a kid, UNICEF had that picture of all these different colored people holding hands in a circle. And that's what I want. I want us to all be the same circle, one nation, one people on earth living in peace.
And everyone's culture is a chronicle of their experience as a people in whatever area they grew up in or were conditioned in. But all the spokes lead to the same inner hub and to the same outer wheel.
I
And
don't ever want anybody again to ever say to me, because it's ridiculous, that my way, your way, whatever, is the only way.
right,
The stone has so many facets, and the light comes through that stone in so many different directions. And that's who we are. We are that light, and we're all different. And because we're all different, it makes the world more beautiful. But there is no one way is the only way. And even what I'm saying right now, someone's not going to believe that. I came across somebody about 2 days ago who was of a Christian persuasion, and he was angry with me because I didn't believe his religion. I didn't believe in the way he believed. And so his way was the only way. And so I said to him, look, there are many other different kinds of people in this world. And he said, yes, and they don't belong in this country. And so I ended the conversation because I couldn't, I hit a brick wall, or actually a jello wall from what I could see. And there was no positive energy there. I was happy that he had a dogma that he believed in, but don't tell me I'm wrong. That's not right either. We
Right.
are, we're all different on purpose. That's why there's chocolate, vanilla, and rhinoceros Parmesan ice cream, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. Occasionally, I run into people who are their way or the highway, and if you're not of their persuasion or you don't see the world the way they see the world, you're going to hell, where you're going to be tortured forever. And I've engaged many people in conversations. I don't press. But I believe as I believe, and there's enough people who believe the same. So let's create harmony together, and not worry over much about the people who don't believe.
I've had so many past lives. I've been on this planet and I believe others for so many millions of years that when I hear all this gobbledygook, I just laugh. I just think, okay, well, you're a newer soul, perhaps, and you'll learn. And I don't judge them as they're wrong because they're not. That's what their energy is telling them is correct for them. And that's what the other thing you've got to look at. You know, I may think that, pea soup is delicious and you want to have orzo. Whatever it is, we've all got our own opinions, our own thoughts. Somewhere we'll come, hopefully, to a compromise. That's why I call my universal energy the all high. It doesn't have any god name or goddess name. It just is. In Egypt, it's called Benu and also Timu. But of course, Timu these days is a Chinese, a wonderful Chinese discount house. I kind of flipped out when I heard that. Benu Temu is now, you can get with six, you'll get egg roll. I mean, it was crazy. But in Egypt, Temu means the Almighty. There's no statues of Temu. There's no statues of that energy. It's just there. It's the force. I don't think any other religions in the ancient period, except Judaism, had that, where there was no statue of God. You have Deus, there's huge statues of Zeus, there's huge
Sure.
statues, and Osiris and Amun and all of those. But this one character, this Temu, there are no statues. It was not male, it was not female, it was just like chi, it was the force.
That too caused grief in Byzantium during a period where if you worked on religious sculptures from the pagan era, they would cut your hands off or cripple you, or so. So people seem to find a way of not being nice to each other and being intolerant one way or another way.
Well, that's something that eventually, hopefully, one of my lives will get to see that that's not there anymore. I don't know as Michael will, but who knows? Maybe the next lifetime. I'm 67, and I don't think in the next 20 years or so, or 30, whatever is allotted to me, or two, who knows, um, that I'm going to see that much of a change. I pray for it every day, that there'll be a break and change. I feel that there's a force of negativity around us now that we need to lift to bring higher and remove the negativity, remove the blackness from the galaxy. If it's, I don't know if it's the whole universe, but I feel like Ra has a situation where Apep, the snake, wraps around the galaxy, and he has to do battle. And I feel that's how we are. That there's a pervasive, okay, whatever happens, happens. I can't do anything. And people are not moving that negativity away. And it's our job to do that. And I know you do.
I believe the same. It is our job to bring positivity and to dispel negativity. In the town where I currently reside, Tennessee, New Jersey, be before things changed with changes in elected officials and so forth, the Chamber of Commerce used to have an interfaith parade during the holidays. And I represented Olympus, of course, and I also became the Grand Master of the parade. So I would open and close the gathering in our Central Park, and people who wanted to talk about their religion and what it celebrated in the winter season to do so. So we had people from different denominations, from different religions. We had people who were Hindus. We had Islam represented. We had Judaism. We had Christianity. And I opened and closed in the name of Mount Olympus. And it was great. And our motto was, in Tenafly, we celebrate our differences together. So I really
That's
loved that.
beautiful.
And even though it's no longer there, it was a great thing to be involved with for around a decade. And I'm sure one day it'll return.
Out on Long Island, there's a wonderful organization called the Eyes of Learning. I've lectured there a few times many years back. It's one of the things I miss. Many people I know still work there, but they are the same way. They open up to all different traditions, and there are wonderful psychics and people that are involved with UFOs and the paranormal and various religious sects. And they work diligently to put positive energy out into the world. And if they hear this or they see this, I hope they're knowing that I'm giving them a little plug because I miss my Long Islanders too. But there was a lot of energy out there that was good. And like anywhere else, there's also bad. But you know what? The good outweighed it. It brightened, it opened up the doors. There are so many other people out there that are doing good things, and then there are others that are miserable, that are negative. And I think that's all we've got to do now is concentrate, focus, take the crystalline energy, bring the energy into yourself, and let it go out into the universe so that you have a unity with the people around you. You'll see people stop me in the street here and talk to me. I wear the Eye of Horus. I have a smaller one, as you know, that's probably under my shirt somewhere. But people will stop me and say, I saw that from across the parking lot. Can we talk about this? I must be doing something right with my amulets and my symbols and my person, my energy. People are talking to me. So that's what we've all got to do. We've all got to shine. Like the movie The Shining, we've all got to shine. Let that energy come through. Be good. You know, smile. Let it be there. You got it. You certainly do. Michael does. Michael Dunn certainly does. Paul, oh, we have so many people that work with us. Joanne, Carol, so many people
Sure.
are light workers. That's if I wanted to say something about my dear friend Carol Gonzalez, that's what she is. Very much a very powerful, I'm getting emotional, a very powerful light worker. She's good. And I'm very glad that we reconnected several years ago because her energy is awesome and she's only gotten better. You hear that, Carol?
She's of the Christian persuasion too, and yet she remains very open to other ways of viewing the universe and our place in it. Michael Del Rusi is very powerfully uh, resonant with his Christian heritage, but he's also very resonant with his Olympian or Greco-Italian, I guess you can call it, heritage as well. So as long as people are willing to listen to each other and communicate despite the differences they have in how they connect the dots for their reality and have it make sense. I believe as humans, we can accomplish a lot. In fact, my Age of Heroes initiatives, which I've done every now and so often to address a social problem locally, one of the only rules for involvement is if your God can play nice, you're welcome to do things in the name of your God. If your God can't play nice, do your own thing. It's not our thing. We're all going to work together to solve a human problem and not to settle some quarrel in the heavens. That's for them to do.
I don't have any time for negativity. I've learned here because I have a lot more free time. and I do my writing and my praying and my work and my teaching. That's, you can fit that into your. I did it with when I was still in New Jersey and in Long Island. I was working, but I still had time. My groups out there will tell you I'm always made time for them,
Hmm.
and I still do. It's funny because the Planetary Temple, is mostly now cyber. So I've got groups all over the world, and they are on this little box that I'm in right now, and that's where we talk and we do ritual. I have to learn how to make it bigger, to make it better, but it's really interesting. The temple that I wanted that was stone, I kept wanting that all my life, and I finally realized I have the temple. It's just
Right.
it's just not one little stone building. It's everywhere, and that's so cool. And
Yes, it is. That's an important thing to realize that you already have that what you want.
Mhm.
That's always a waking call. And I'm coming to the same conclusion too. There were a lot of things I put off because I didn't quite know how they would come about or what exactly I wanted to do with the subject in question. But now lately, when I'm less able to do things because of my Parkinson's and my spinal arthritis and my other challenges that I'm facing on a physical level, things are just opening up doors. These doors are opening up. And so, do I need that better health? I'd like it, and I will have it. But right now, it's not impeding me from doing the other things. So I'm not going to wait till I'm feeling better. I'm going to do those other things because they're here. The universe said, "There you go."
I have a lot of physical challenges still. Things happen with my health slightly, bones and things. But you know what? It doesn't stop me. And I
Right.
did ask, I yelled out for help in physically building a temple, and nobody heard me. Or if they did hear me, they ignored me. A lot of it, I'm going to be mean for a minute. A lot of it was because I was pagan and gay. They didn't want to open that door because I wasn't one of the big three. I wasn't a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, not even a Buddhist. Oh my heavens, I followed the ancient Egyptian gods, and I'm pagan. So a lot of it was ignored. And I finally realized the only person that's going to help you, Michael, is you. And so I made it happen. I made this whole thing work, and it's still working. And people around me now are like, oh, you did that. I believe in you. But I had to believe in me
Good.
first. And I do. And I am. And that's why if you see positive changes in my life, that's why I'm about as shy as a volcano when it comes to making things get done. And there we go.
Yes, you are. You're an impressive person. I'm glad to know you.
Thank you. I'm very not shy, that's for sure. I take that from being Brooklyn. I'm a born Brooklynite and I'm definitely a New Yorker. I may be Southern, but now, but I'm a native New Yorker, and the chutzpah that's in my back is because of my New Yorkness, and I honor it and I recognize it as why I am the way I am. We're a tough breed, we New Yorkers.
Yes, we are. I remember when we were in Pennsylvania, we had the Barbarian Bazaar and the Mount Olympus Marketplace as businesses. We had a physical store for a while, and there was somebody who used to come in who was we called him Thumper because he was a Bible thumper,
Oh dear.
and he wasn't the most pleasant of people, but still, I'd engage him in conversation because we have hospitality laws. We're Greeks. So, he once asked me, how can I stick with the ancient gods of my people? And I said, because they're the gods that I've always been most resonant with and that I still feel this resonance. And I told
Hmm.
him, I don't whore after foreign gods. And in their holy book, it tells them not to whore after foreign gods. So you can't tell me not to whore after foreign gods. And so
In the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt have no God before the Lord thy God." Now, if there are other gods, I mean, God in the Bible was saying there are other gods.
yes, and Michael Heiser was still alive. He was a Bible scholar. We had the greatest conversations on that topic. Michael Heiser got famous for pointing out the Council of the Gods. That's here.
Mm-hmm.
the ancient
Hmm.
literature, and the world's a poorer place with him not in it. But we had a lot of conversations on this topic. And if we had more time tonight, we would talk about the topic some more because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But I really want to congratulate you again for all the wonderful things happening in your life. And I thank the universe for assisting you in whatever way the universe has assisted you. I'm proud of you as a friend and as a colleague. And I'm looking forward to even better things coming your way. It's great that your books are going to be published and not just in anthologies, and that you're earning a name for yourself with a much wider audience that is interested in the things that you have to share. And now you have a vehicle for all of these things of sharing your life experience and your insights with more people. So keep on doing the phenomenal work. How can the people listening to us now learn more about you and tap into all the wonderful things that you're doing?
Number one, please subscribe to today'switch.net, www.today'switch.net. Please subscribe. You'll be able to get all of the wonderful articles and information and fun that are in those magazines. Number two, you can get me at Perniteru at facebook.com. You can get me at Michael K. Waterman, the real me, at facebook.com. You can reach me also at Phone a Wizard on facebook.com or on Instagram, but I don't use Instagram that much. So you're better to find me on Facebook. You can email me at mkwaterman at icloud.com. If you want to book appointments or whatever you need for a Phone a Wizard, call me at 516-650-3691. I'll be glad to answer all your questions.
And here in my domain, Setna is the voice of Kemet, and he is our voice for all things Egyptian and Egyptian spirituality, as well as a lot of the specific skills he has with herbs and with stones and with rituals and with colors. And so we rely a lot on Setna. Thank you, Setna. You're an awesome individual again. I wish you the best in this and all your other endeavors. And thanks to all who tuned in. Until next time, this is us wishing you joyous journeys and amazing adventures. Take care, my friend.
Blessings to everybody. Life, health, and prosperity. Ankujat Sanem. Take care.
What he said.